My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. So many different. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we talk about dead girls. Right? Is that what happens?
It happens.
Maybe not in this issue, but in this session, we'll be talking about some girls that are dead. Yeah, but we're back, everybody. We're talking about Ecstatics. We are still in the X-Force land of Ecstatics. So today we're talking about X-Force 124. And I'm still really enjoying these comic books, Gary. These are super fun to read and just go by so smooth. And I kind of wish I could just binge them all and we could spend 8 hours recording about them and then be done for like 6 months.
I did binge them all.
Okay, cool.
I know what your rest of the afternoon's looking like, but yeah, I just kind of got stuck in a hole and just decided to reread them and then just refresh my memory for recording. But it does stand up. It is one of my favorite comic runs. And one of the reasons, segue, is issues like this where they do these little one-off things that are not part of an arc.
Yes.
This is something that X-Force and Ecstatics continues to do, and I really like these little breather episodes that happen.
I do too. Yeah, these are fun.
Yeah.
And getting to know some of the characters and some of their backstories and things like that is super interesting. Like all of these characters are like way more well developed than I thought they would be. Like based on the pitch that I kind of heard from you about this, I was really expecting this to be just almost kind of a comedy book, if that makes sense. Like I thought it would be a little bit more zany than it, and it is that, but it's also like not that, and it's super serious at the same time. So it's been kind of an interesting ride so far.
Yeah, it does it all. The last full arc of this, where they fight the Avengers, is pretty nonstop funny.
Excellent.
So there's a really good arc to go out on. It is very funny. This cover, this is a fill-in artist. That was something that happened a lot because Mike Allred, he's one of those artists, like your Frank Whiteley's. There's lots of fill-ins. Darwin Cook, who died, and is good.
Oh,
there's my tight 5 seconds on Darwin Cook. Is an artist that I like.
You've had that one written up and just waiting for that to happen, right?
I spent all morning on it. I've been sitting in the lab with a pen and pad trying to get this damn labels off, and finally got it. Do you notice on this cover how many oranges she's eating?
A lot. There's just a bunch of oranges around, and I've never been a person, like I like oranges, but I've never been a person to get a cup of coffee and 4 oranges on a tiny plate and then go and lay in my bed to enjoy that. Like,
yeah, come hither.
Yes, come here amongst my citrus.
Yeah. Would you like to dine on 4 oranges with me in the boudoir?
But I'll be honest with you, Gary. Like, if I was a single superhero that maybe has super sensitive skin, and I was getting the come hither look from my fellow mutant compatriot, and she just happened to have a lot of oranges. Like the oranges wouldn't even come into the equation. I'd just be like, "Let's go."
Yeah,
right. Like,
yeah, let's go. Like, can these oranges be stored temporarily?
Not even that. I would just knock them off the bed.
You just push, dead oranges. The idea of oranges in bed, like it's a pretty messy food.
Yeah.
I've
never been a big food sex person either. Like I don't like every once in a while, like you'll be watching pornography and I'll be like, hey, let me put all this whipped cream over your body. And I'm like, that's just going to be a mess. What are you guys doing?
Sticky, dude. Yeah. Like what if you don't lick it all off? You're just going to get this like,
now you're sticky
spot.
Great.
Yeah. That's not great. Yeah. There's that. I love that Seinfeld where George starts eating huge sandwiches in bed. Like, it's like, it's just like, I have it all. And he tries to hide it from her. Like he reaches into a drawer and just pulls out a big sandwich and takes one bite and then goes back under the covers.
I don't eat in bed, period. And I think that's
weird flex.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, I think it's just I don't know, man. I know I don't want to sound like one of those like dude bros of like there's only 2 things you do in the bedroom, but like we don't have any electronics in the bedroom. Like we
assemble Gundams and go to sleep.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It's jerk off and it's post on Reddit. That's what I do in my bedroom.
That's it. I sleep on the couch, motherfucker.
But yeah, like we don't have a TV in our room. We don't. Neither one of us ever eat in bed. I can't remember the last time either one of us ate in bed. Like it just doesn't happen. So every time I see people doing it, I'm like, or like breakfast in bed. Like if I brought Autumn a tray of something in bed, she'd be like, "Can we just take this to the fucking kitchen? Like, what are you doing?"
Can we just like people? Do you surely you look at your phone in bed though?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you're not like a maniac.
No. Although I have actively tried to stop myself from doing that. So
it's hard.
It's really hard. Like it helps that I've had like a series of really like beefy fantasy novels to get into. So I've been when I go to bed, like I put the phone on the charger and I'm like, okay, time to read about this rocks that Brandon Sanderson is trying to convince me are magic or something. But and or the Wheel of Time or whatever. And then when I wake up in the morning, I make myself not look at my phone in the morning. Like I make myself get up and like at least sit up somewhere and look at my phone, because otherwise it just destroys my morning. Like I can kill an hour and a half laying in bed doing that, and that just destroys my day. So yeah,
I do. Me too, but also I don't have the discipline yet. Sometimes I can do it. After the election, I made not this recent contested election, but the 2016 election. I had a rule of like no Twitter for 2 hours.
Yeah.
After I get out of bed, like that helped a lot.
How long did that last?
A couple months.
Yeah, not very long.
Not too bad. Not that long, but not that bad.
I'm saying that like I'm like fucking hardcore straight edge over here, but like definitely still spend an hour and a half looking at Twitter in the bed when I wake up in the morning. So don't.
Yeah, this like the important thing is I try not to.
Yeah. The important thing is
I feel bad about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I make myself feel real shitty about doing the things that don't make me feel good to begin with. So super great.
Yeah, brains. So this is issue 124. Of X-Force. Recently, boy, what just happened in this? The Spike joined, we had the Lacuna arc.
Yes. Yeah. And we had that weird Enough Said episode. I think that was the.
Oh shit!
Yeah. We went into Dupe's brain for a little while, and now we're back into the real world. And we've kind of known for a while. The biggest thing that for this issue is that Hugo Girl is having issues with her teleportation. It's not completely stable. And we start out with like the team coming home via her teleporting, and it kind of backfiring, and all of a sudden they're like in an ocean where nobody can swim. And then they're in this weird jungle thing. So it's going to be kind of all about Hugo Girl for this issue.
Yeah, this is a highlight issue for her.
Yes.
It's all about their relationships here. Like she accidentally teleports them to a jungle after a mission. She's going to take another one of her poppers, and Guy Smith tells her not to. Yeah. Like that's a problem. Like you have been fucking up a lot. And Tyke get the attention of that plane, so he almost zaps a UPS plane, and they come and drop them off. And that's where we get our title splash page, which I really like. Where Guy's like, oh, this is a boost for our reputation, having to hitch a ride home, and Tyke's like, be cool. They'll just think we have a product placement deal with them. And Fat says, you mean we don't?
Yes.
And we get the name of the issue. Eddie and Guy finally do it.
Yes. What is the it?
We will find out.
We will find out what it is.
The romantic tension and also the misdirect of what this is.
So we go back to the headquarters. And Edie and Guy are kind of having this argument, and Guy's basically saying like, you have to get your shit together. Like the drugs are bad. Like none of this stuff is working, and essentially gives her an ultimatum. Like you need to go and figure out what this is and come back in a week. And if you can't figure it out, you're off the team. And kind of interspersed throughout this is the ongoing rivalry between the Spike and the anarchist.
Him and the Spike during these like next couple issues is really just going to continue to antagonize the entire team.
Yes.
Basically saying, the only thing keeping her on the team is her reputation. There had to be teleporters everywhere. And as soon as anyone challenges on him on this, he's basically just posturing. He calls Tyke out for defending his white buddies. He calls out Vivisector, for getting in his face. And Guy basically backs him up and is like, yeah, we can't rest on our laurels. Like if you teleport us wrong, we will die. You have 1 week to get your shit together. And this makes Edie nervous. We cut to later where she's hanging outside of his like sensory bedroom chamber dungeon. Like,
I love the weird, like, I don't know if this is actual Art Deco, but my brain says Art Deco when I see stuff like this. But like his weird sheets combined with the like circle windows you would see in a submarine with all of the like obvious like what looks like padded walls, but has to be like Xavier invented a special padded wall that prevents him from feeling the air on the other side of it or something. So like it's just it's a very weird and wild look, and I super dig it.
He's a podcaster. Like, it's just baffling.
Mr. Sensitive, the podcaster.
Mr. Sensitive Bedcast. The hear me sleep. And she's approaching him and she's like, hey, this test that you have me on, like the problem is that there's this tension between us. There's romantic tension. Like, are we going to have sex? Are we going to be in a relationship? That's what's fucking up my teleportation. Is kind of how she portrays this, but it's a little bit of a misdirect to the reader. We cut to them having driven out to the desert, Route 66, at a hotel. They drove because her teleportation isn't very good. And she starts kind of like, he inquires like, hey, she says, it's been a long time since I traveled back home. And he's like, yeah, that little girl at the farm, like, she's your daughter, right? He picked this up in a couple issues ago where she's back home. And then we cut back to her origin.
Yes. I really like when we go through the origin, we change art styles, and it's kind of like a nifty little like fairy tale story almost. I really dig this. I really, really like the way that this is told. I like the way that it will incorporate them being Edie and Guy like within this framework to a certain degree. Like, it's just all very cute and good. I mean, it's not cute because the story is kind of horrible.
It's about teen pregnancy.
Yeah, it's not a great story. Like, it's not a cute story.
Jeremy Gray says it's a cute story about teen pregnancy.
Yeah, it's a meet cute
pregnant. Cute little fairy tale.
Which is not
it's a pregnant cute.
It's a pregnant cute. Just type that into Disney Plus and see what comes up. I'm sure that there's at least it's probably Star Wars, right? It's got to be a Star Wars. So
yeah. But she, just talking about growing up and her teleportation, kind of taking effect. I love how she's eating X-Flakes. I would eat X-Flakes.
Absolutely.
And her dad, who is an old man, much older than her mom, looks at her like she's a stranger. Like, she has this distant relationship with her dad. When I first read this, I remember thinking it was going to be a child molestation thing and being really bummed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that. Luckily.
And also the dad is kind of anti-technology. He doesn't allow any TVs or radios in the house. So she is driven by this desire to get out of this kind of trapped existence that she feels like she's in. So that when her powers start manifesting, that's how it's just her going to other places, and they think that she's been dreamwalking. Sleepwalking. Dreamwalking is a totally different power.
Dreamwalker shows up in a couple issues.
Yeah, definitely. The Daydreamer? The Daywalker? Wait, no, it's the combination of those two. So yeah, when she starts like showing up on the roof and things, and they're just like, oh, she's sleepwalking, but really it's just her trying to get away from this. Like, just as you might imagine, like every teenager goes through. Like, I know I went through with this kind of stuff when I was a kid of just wanting to run away and go somewhere else that wasn't filled with redneck people. So like I think every teenager goes through some version of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always I also went through that and had that feeling, and it's so funny because it's like once you get there, what happens? You still got to wake up the next day. It's so interesting when you think of your life. And something that an old ex-girlfriend's mom used to say that I really liked was, "There's no such thing as a geographic cure."
Oh, nice.
Like, you can't just move somewhere and expect you to change that drastically. Yeah. So she can kind of continue telling the story about this guy who, some guy from San Francisco who's a little bit older, rolling through town and making her pregante down by the stream. And they basically hid it. It would have been a scandal. So the mom pretends to be pregnant and takes her out of school. And this is when they find out that her father is not actually her father. Her father was impotent, could not have kids, and they had an arrangement with somebody who was passing through town.
There's a couple of good funny bits throughout this. Number one, the idea that the mom goes to church with the pillow stuffed under her dress just to make it look pregnant. Like, ain't no way that ever's gonna fly in a small town, dude. Like, all of them crazy old women are gonna be like, "Let me touch the belly. Let me touch the belly immediately." It's like fucking flies to a light source.
To a belly. It makes me think, like, this is the kind of thing where it's like one of those openly kept secrets in kind of rural areas. You know, like everybody knows, but it's like it's just a rumor, and everybody just kind of maintains face in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they know, but it'd be too impolite to call her on it.
Yeah. And the other thing is the Logan poster on the wall. Like, I just really dig the idea. Like, because, you know, Logan would hate to have posters of Logan around. Like, that would be...
It's like Wolverine.
Yeah. It just says Logan.
Yeah. Like, there's like a rare run of patch posters that are really hard to get a hold of.
I can't remember his real name when that was revealed. Is it Jack something or something? I can't remember.
I can't remember his patch name. I fucking hate patch.
Well, no, I'm like when his actual name was revealed in the
James Logan.
James Logan, yeah, James. Like, what if it just said James? Like, that would have been super good.
Like with that haircut. So she has the baby, you know, and her mom's like, "Hey, look at your beautiful little girl," and she like immediately teleports away.
Yeah.
You know, not immediately. She's not like in the bloody birth bed.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucked up that she has the baby like in her childhood bed. Surrounded by Logan posters. Like, I don't think I could give birth while looking over at a poster of Logan just like smoking a stogie. It's like,
so, which begs the question: what would be your preferred? Would it be Scott, Jean, Hank?
If I were to give birth, which X-Men?
Yeah,
probably Hank. Like, you know, just like a calm medical,
okay,
kind of presence.
Like when he's beast up, or this is pre-beast.
Beast, but with the glasses.
Okay, but with like a tie on, like a real dapper beast.
Business beast.
Business beast, like, of course. Yeah, business casual beast. I think is what we're looking for.
Yeah, something in some Dockers, you know. So yeah, and then she said, you know, she hadn't been home since the last time she went with X-Force. You know, like she just abandoned her kid.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to later when they're in the hotel and they can't really sleep. You know, they're separated by thin walls. They're not sleeping together like we thought they would be doing. And he's like, you know, we have, like, you're very nervous, I can tell, but we have to do this. She's like, yeah, I don't want to go do it. I don't want to go see them. And he's like, too bad. Like, you have to do this.
I love the setup of this where they're in two hotel rooms that are next to each other and they're talking through these thin walls because the headboards like butt up against each other on each side.
Mm-hmm.
I had a visceral reaction to him like putting his hands on the wall like to get like so he could feel her closer, and then also putting his little antenna on the walls, and I was like, no sir, that is not allowed. I do not appreciate this.
Do not feel safe with Guy Smith around. You know, something I was thinking about is like these characters, you know, any of the characters who have died in this, do you think they're on Krakoa? Like in the new X-Men where they're bringing everybody back to life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I'm trying to remember what happened in Hoxpox. Like they literally took samples for every single mutant, right? Like they encoded every single mutant that Xavier had
like
to touch
Xavier
with.
Backs him up on a Google Drive in his brain.
On an iOmega zip drive.
Yeah. So he can download a backup from a couple of days ago. Like, you know, the idea of
he put Dazzler on a
would,
mini disc.
I was thinking about a lot about Guy Smith because these like next couple of issues are good Guy Smith issues. And I really like Guy Smith. Like, I think that like it would be interesting to see what it would be like if he interfaced with any of the rest of the X universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not necessarily good. I'm not necessarily going to bat for it. I just think I would want to see, you know, how a writer would deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, one of these like Dawn of X stories has, you know, Mr. Sensitive on the team.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I need to start reading some of that stuff. Because I did the Hoxpox stuff, but I'm just kind of curious. I don't have enough X-Men stuff in my life right now, so I might as well check some of that out.
The Uncanny and then Marauders are good. Skip the giant-sized issues; they're all bad so far.
Okay.
And then those are the only ones that I've liked. Like I read the first issue of all of them, and the rest of them I thought were pretty dumb. But Marauders and Uncanny X-Men are good.
Cool.
So we cut to the next day when they're at the farm. He's kind of like psyching her up to do it. You know, she's like, "Hey, is she in there?" And he's like, "No, there's only one person in. It's an adult." You know, and she can confronts her mom. Mm-hmm. You know, for the first time in however long.
I mean, the kid looks like to be, you know, anywhere from 12 to 15, so it's got to be at least a decade from what it looks like. And I was really impressed with this. I expected, when I realized they were going home, I was like, oh, she's going to do the family confrontation, everybody's going to hate her. She's going to have this like whole thing. Like where I expected this story to go, it absolutely doesn't happen. Like instead, her and her mom sit down and like catch up for a while, and guy like walks into the other room just to like get away and let them kind of have their time together. And it's very sweet. Like this is very cool that they were able to have that kind of connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really sweet story. You know, and they basically, Edie and her mom have this confrontation. Like, she's like, I would like her to know who her real mother is. And her mom is like, she's happy and settled. Like, what would this do? You know, not only would that unsettle her, but if you tell her the truth, someday she's going to have to see you killed on TV. You know, like pictures of your corpse are going to be beamed coast to coast. You know, like, are you comfortable with that? And she runs in and Edie maintains the lie. You know, she says, don't you have a hug for your big sister? Like, does not, you know, tell her the truth.
And the kid immediately wants to be like teleported around, and Edie's worried about this, and Guy gives her encouragement, right? He's like, no, you absolutely got this. You're the one and only. You go, girl. You're up to this. Like, go take this child on a good time. And it works. And like she's able to teleport, and like the teleportation, like, splash page or whatever shows them going to like Egypt and New York and London. Like don't know exactly what happened through here, but it seems like everybody had a really good time.
Yeah, a pirate ship.
A pirate ship. Yeah, like where is that?
Pirate Times. Yeah, went to Pirate Times for a second. You know, so they spend the day together. You know, and she's basically you know, saying goodbye to her daughter sister. You know, and she says, like, you're not going to die like those other mutants. And she's like, no, I'm indestructible. Like, letting the words from her mom sink in. Like, you know, this lifestyle I've chosen. It doesn't, you know, maybe I made the right choice. Like, it wasn't good to try to raise my daughter because I'm in ecstatics.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And this causes Guy to get really emotional. Like, he's obviously Mr. Sensitive, but as he's watching this kind of goodbye take place, he's like he's having trouble and ultimately fails at holding back tears. Like, this is really emotional for him.
Yeah, Guy mists. You know, he's trying to do this, like he's saying, like, oh, you know, so now you can teleport. There's no wobbles, no ending up in the ocean. It's because, you know, you originally, when you started trying to teleport, it was to get away from your old life, but now you've come to peace with it. And she's like, you know, I just started taking a new drug.
I just got new drugs.
Yeah.
She puts down that chant song, We Don't Do the Same Drugs, and just like, okay, let's just bop to this and then go home.
Yeah. Yeah. So they teleport back to the hotel room, you know, to get it on. They talk about like keeping their professional life and their personal life separate. You know, and they're worried someone might hear them. And what it looks like, she teleports them to the moon to have sex.
So they're in the desert, and the moon is definitely in the background. So unless that's supposed to be,
maybe it's just the desert.
I think it's just like,
but there's a big crater.
Yeah, but it looks like she just teleported them into midair. Which, I mean, if my GF could teleport us into the air to have sex, I'd be like, we definitely are doing that one time.
Air sex,
one time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, of course.
There's no way it's worth two times, but one time.
Yeah, 70,000 Mile High Club.
Yeah,
you know, just but it's kind of a sweet.
I remember at some point some porn company trying to do the 0G nut, and they had leased a plane and were like taking it way up in the air and then diving it so that like,
oh my god,
and then trying to time a male orgasm at the same time to have the 0G nut, and I'm just like, why are you doing this? It seems ridiculous.
Yeah, wow. I don't want to have a 0G nut. Like, I don't want to deal with like the consequences of that, and the experience of it doesn't sound good. Like that feeling of like when you're in a roller coaster and you're going down that like stomach.
Yeah,
that is incompatible with the human orgasm to me.
And like you know, I mean, props to the porn star that was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I guess I can come whenever I want to. Like, this is my one superpower.
Yeah. Like, look out, ecstatics! I'm ready to come in 0Gs. I would have a really hard time with that. That actually made me feel a little sick to my stomach just thinking about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary. Wow.
Yeah. No, that's not your fault. I was just thinking about like that roller coaster, like stomach drop feeling. And man, trying to nut. This is a very sweet issue.
Yes.
Like at the end, she's like, you know, he's like, these walls are so thin, someone might hear us. And then when she teleports them out to the desert, she says, I don't care if the whole world hears us.
Yeah.
Like, they are young and in love, and they just had this very like, you know, sweet, tender moment. You know, where they helped each other out. Like, this is the consummating of their relationship.
And it feels nice. Like, this is, you know, You Go Girl isn't being sarcastic throughout any of this, which is kind of her normal mood. Guy isn't being like overly protective or weird about anything. He seems to be kind of be handling his side of this relationship pretty well, and like having this like sweet, air sex just seems to be very nice for both of them. And like, what a great issue. Like I really thought when we teleported back to Edie's family and we saw like everybody was stunned, and then like she immediately teleported back out, I was like, oh, there's some really horrible shit. And it is like, child pregnancy is a huge thing, but it's not like horrible. Like nobody was abused, nobody was, you know what I'm saying? Like I thought this was going to be like everybody has to have a dark past, but she just went and talked to her mom, and her mom was like, yeah, like if you want to tell her the truth you can, but really think about what that's going to do to your daughter. And like it was just really nice. Like it's just really nice that people had a conversation and avoided all of the stereotypical bullshit drama that you normally see.
Yeah, like it's still a tropey story, like the small town girl who goes off to Hollywood and tries to get away from the farm life and gets pregnant and stuff. That is still a tropey story, but it's just handled really well. Like I just really like the execution of it.
Me too.
Yeah, and we're going to get a little bit more of Edie's background, which is really nice. Like I love this character, so it's very nice to get more in the future. So that's it for this episode and issue.
Quick and
feature
breezy.
Cast.
If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv is the place to do so. You get access to all kinds of exclusive content, extra podcast early, access to the Slack, and just the deep satisfaction of supporting a group of people that are trying to make people laugh in the world. So go check that out. Ratings, reviews, telling your friends, all of that super helps. Thank you very much for everybody that's been listening, and we will be back with more X-Force.